Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into a huge challenge. How do you take these massive, complex projects, the ones with a million moving parts, and turn them from total chaos into a masterpiece of control? Well, we're about to demystify the tool that makes it all happen.
You know, anyone who's ever been near a large-scale project knows that feeling. You're wrestling with missed deadlines, budgets that are just spiraling out of control, and communication breakdowns that honestly can sink the whole ship. It's a universal pain point when you're trying to build something big.
So, let's make this real. Forget the jargon for a minute and just think about this. How in the world do you build a brand new metro station? Seriously, think of the planning, the tons of materials, the thousands of people, the millions and millions of dollars. How do you even begin to manage all that?
Well, the answer sounds simple, but in reality, it's incredibly tough. You do it with control, not chaos. You absolutely have to have a system, a central command center that gives you total visibility over every single piece of the puzzle.
And that, right there, is where our topic for today comes in. We're talking about SAP PS, the Project System module. This is that powerful, integrated solution that's designed to do one thing: replace all that chaos with absolute clarity and control.
So, what is this thing really? Well, SAP PS is a module inside the giant SAP ecosystem, and it's built specifically to manage the entire lifecycle of a complex project. It's not just for one little part of it, it's a true end-to-end tool for planning, executing, and controlling everything from the first brainstorm to the final handshake.
And listen, this isn't some niche boutique software. This is the backbone for massive operations across a huge range of really critical industries. We're talking everything from building skyscrapers and airplanes to developing new drugs and managing enormous IT rollouts. SAP PS is literally the engine that keeps these giant projects on the rails.
Okay, so let's get into the weeds a bit. How does it actually work? How does SAP PS take some grand vision and give it a clear, manageable structure? We're about to look at the blueprint for how it's done.
It all follows a very logical life cycle. You start with an idea or a signed contract, then you build out the project's skeleton, its structure. You allocate the money, and then you jump into execution, where every single cost and activity gets tracked. All along the way, you're monitoring progress, right up until the very end when you close it all out and analyze how you did. It's a complete journey.
Now, the absolute foundation, the bedrock of any project in SAP PS is something called the Work Breakdown Structure, or WBS. You got to know this one. Think of it as the project's digital blueprint. It's where you take that massive, overwhelming goal and you chop it up hierarchically into smaller, bite-sized, manageable pieces.
And here's what that looks like in the real world. Say you're building a factory. You don't just show up and start pouring concrete, right? First, you break the whole thing down into major phases, like site prep and construction. Then you break those down even further into specific jobs, like laying the foundation or running the electrical. Each little piece can get its own budget, its own timeline, and its own team. See? This is how you create order from chaos.
And it's really important to get this distinction. The WBS defines what you are building, those major chunks, the deliverables. The network activities, on the other hand, define how you're going to build them, the step-by-step tasks, who does what first, and the actual schedule. You need both the what and the how working together to have a complete plan. But here's the real magic, the absolute game changer. The power of SAP PS isn't just that it's a great planning tool. Its real strength is that it doesn't live in a bubble. It's deeply woven into every other critical part of the business. This is the big aha moment.
And this table just illustrates that connection perfectly. When your project needs steel beams, it talks directly to the materials management module to order them. When it's time to build a client for work you've done, it connects to sales and distribution. And every single penny spent is tracked in real time through the finance and controlling modules. This creates a single source of truth, getting rid of all those conflicting spreadsheets and the guesswork that causes so many projects to go off the rails.
So what's the ultimate payoff for all this structure and integration? It's all about turning that flood of project data into clear, actionable intelligence. It's about getting total visibility and, maybe most importantly, total financial control.
Let's go back to our metro station. With SAP PS, you'd map out the whole project structure. You'd assign budgets to each part. You'd order the concrete and steel right through the system. You track every hour of labor. And this is huge. You could run a cost report every single day to see if you're on track and then send precise, accurate bills to the client.
That is real control.
And at the very heart of this control is this financial loop. It's a simple but incredibly powerful process. You plan your costs at the beginning. As work happens, the system automatically sucks in all the actual costs. Then, it's constantly comparing the two, analyzing the variance between your plan and reality. This means you can spot a budget problem before it becomes a 5-alarm fire, not weeks after.
And all this amazing data feeds into powerful real-time reports, so project managers aren't just flying blind anymore, guessing about how things are going. They have dashboards showing them exactly where they stand on cost versus budget, if a critical task is falling behind, or if a team is totally overloaded. This isn't just data, it's the power to make smart decisions on the fly.
Now, this isn't just some abstract business theory. This knowledge actually translates into a massive field with real-world careers. So let's take a look at the kind of professional doors that open up for people who really master this system.
Yeah, mastering this system can really set you up. You could become an SAP PS consultant, the expert who helps companies set all this up, or maybe a project costing specialist who dives deep into the financials. Even existing project managers become way more valuable when they're SAP enabled, using this tool to run their projects with surgical precision. There are a lot of ways to build a great career here.
And for those of you who already live in the SAP world, here's a little insider cheat sheet for you. These are some of the key transaction codes, or T codes, that you'd use for day-to-day tasks, from building a project with CJ20N to settling all the costs at the end with CJ88. It's a little peek behind the curtain.
At the end of the day, I think this quote just nails it. SAP PS is so much more than a simple tracking tool. It's a strategic system. It's about controlling costs, being smart with your resources, and making sure you deliver on time. It turns a simple project into a well-oiled, profitable business operation.
Which really brings us back to that first idea, and it leaves us with one final question to think about. When you look at the big projects happening in your world, do you see chaos or do you see control? Because often the difference between the two is the system you have holding it all together.
Thanks so much for joining me to explore the world of project control. I'll see you next time on The Explainer.